do you know how many orders are running through Snapdocs every month, more or less?
Around 70,000.
So there's 70,000 orders going on a month. My quick math puts it at 700, 840,000 orders a year, with only 70,000 notaries servicing almost 1 million closings. I don't think you need a degree in mathematics to realize that there's good odds of getting good business with the Snapdocs platform. Hi, I'm Mark, and I am the educator at the loan signing system. And what I am known for is helping loan signing agents get loan signing jobs so you can make money. And that's why I am so excited about today's guest, as this is Casey from Snapdocs. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. So she's gonna pull back the curtains on the algorithms and making sure that she gives you every piece of information so you can maximize your job availability on the Snapdocs platform. So thankful to have you. And how excited are you?
I am super excited. It's a great opportunity to get to connect with all these notaries.
Oh my gosh. So I told her we've done this video 6 years ago that has 100,000 views later, but so much information needs to be updated. So that is yesterday's news. Let's go on today's news. And so let's talk about how much money have you paid out to notaries since the inception of Snapdocs?
Last year, we had a notary making $200,000. So there is tons of money to be made in this market. You just have to go out there and get it.
So if you're not on Snapdocs, you need to be, and we're gonna go over today kind of how to set up profiles and all the behind the scenes information. So with that being said, how many notaries are on the Snapdocs platform right now?
Yeah, so we have over 140,000 notaries on the Snapdocs platform, but I would say less than half of that is unengaged.
Do you know how many orders are running through Snapdocs every month, more or less?
Around 70,000.
Okay, 70,000. So there's 70,000 orders going on a month. My quick math puts it at 700, 840,000 orders a year, with only 70,000 notaries servicing almost 1 million closings. I don't think you need a degree in mathematics to realize that there's good odds of getting good business with the Snapdocs platform.
Everything from about 6 years ago is safe to say has doubled.
Got it. The fact that there's only 70,000 profiles servicing 1 million closings on Snapdocs profile, it's insane. Again, I'm trying to help the newer notary realize how big Snapdocs is. How many title companies are on the platform, just to let them know, how massive this platform is.
Yeah, we have hundreds. And when I say hundreds, I mean multiple of hundreds of title companies and customers on our platform. And then when you get down to working with signing services, they also have their own hundreds of companies that they work with. So your opportunities are endless.
I love that possibilities are endless. And so what I think is really cool about Snapdocs, unlike some of the other platforms, is you guys are really morphing more to the title side. And so why I say that is because the title side pays direct business to them. We're gonna get to that in a second. For those who don't know, sometimes a signing service will take 30% of the fee, but you guys are working directly with title companies and they'll actually pass the full fee on to the notary because there's no technical middleman.
So Snapdocs is a great platform when you're either just getting into the business or if you're a tenured notary signing agent. It doesn't matter because you have the opportunity to be selected for dozens and hundreds of signings, right? And so by coming on our platform, filling out your profile, making sure you have your bio, you also have the opportunity to upload other signings that you have done so that all of your signings are housed in one place. So there's a lot of opportunities where you can be marketing yourself in your area and you go into a title company and you're introducing yourself, selling yourself, and then you mention that you're a notary on Snapdocs. And we're seen as a very credible notary, or that we have a very credible notary pool. So when they hear that, you can ask, hey, give me a shot, put me on a signing, let me prove myself. Because at the end of the day, we are just a name that are helping giving you those opportunities with those title companies.
Yeah, we're gonna dive into that deeper because you have so much title business, but I love what you just said there. It's almost leveraging the brand so you can get more business, especially the title companies who are utilizing Snapdocs as the platform to get so notaries.
Right.
So let's get into the juice, okay? So, notaries want money. And the biggest complaint I get as a teacher to so many signing agents is the notification system. So let's really break that down over the next 5 minutes or so and explain how it works. And I ask that because if people understand how the system works, there's less discouragement. They think it's just like this whimsical thing versus a very, pragmatic way to get notaries attached to signing. So how does, in your own words, the notification system work? And then I'll ask some questions based upon your answer.
For sure. So our notification system works that when an order is submitted, we have an automator and notifications are sent out. It's by the client's discretion. They do have that setting, but it defaults to every 15 seconds. So every 15 seconds, the notification is sent to another notary one by one. And it's not first come, first serve in all cases, but if you get a text message or an email and you mark yourself as available, you are then shown to the client that you are available for the signing, and it's up to the client then to go in and select the notary.
Okay, so let's break that down. So I love that. So first thing I heard, it's not a cattle call per se.
Correct.
If I had to be frankly honest, it's pretty close because every 15 seconds, but it's not at the heart of it. It is
Right.
it's a delayed. So the signing service or title company, whoever the client is, when you hit accept, they will see everybody who hits accept. So let's just say for the sake of this example, 10 notaries were all shot out in 15-second increments. 10 notaries that responded is what I should say. And so they will see all 10 pop up. At that moment, they have the discretion to see, what profile is the best and suited for this appointment that I want to attach. So your job is to, yes, hit accept as quick as you can, but really just hit accept in general.
Right.
And so let's go back to something else you said. By default, it's 15 seconds. The signing service or the title company can change that.
Correct.
Okay. Let me ask you another question I think is very curious. What is the default radius? And then I'm guessing they can change that. So for those who don't know, that means that Snapdocs will find all the notaries within 1 mile, 2 mile of the borrower's location. So that's what I mean by radius. So what is the default for the radius? Then they have the power to choose that, I believe, right?
Yeah, great question. So the default radius is 25 miles. However, that can be changed by the person putting in the order if they know they're in a rural area and they want to expand the radius, or if they just as a company want to set their radius to a different amount, like it might be 10 miles for some. But that's not the only thing that's taken into consideration. So say you have a signing that is just outside of San Francisco and the notary pool is extremely large. It will narrow down the radius just so that it's not too large of a pool for the automator to go to, so that you're getting those top quality notaries. And then say you're in a rural area, even though it defaults to 25, if only 5 notaries appear in the automator, very unlikely, right? However, if it's a small amount of notaries that pull, then it will automatically expand so that there is a larger option, because some notaries don't mind traveling a little bit further than others for a signing.
So my ninja question is there any way, so let's say a notary is willing to travel farther, right? So the radius is 25 miles, but someone who lives 35 miles is like, dude, I will travel the extra 10 miles to do that closing. I just want the opportunity.
Right.
So is there any way to kind of hack the algorithm, or is it just is what it is? There's no way to set the parameter on your profile.
So this has been an enhancement that we've been looking at for a little bit of time, and we're really considering adding to the notary profile. So currently you cannot set in your profile a radius that you're willing to travel. The radius is based off of your address that you put into your profile. You could, hack the system if you wanted to put a different zip code in, but you have to be careful because that address could be used to ship you documents, or say Snapdocs wanted to send you something. You want to make sure that that is still an address that you are going to be able to manage.
So let me just unpack what she said. So if you know, let's say you live in a rural area, but you know that all the business is in this big city right next to you, 50 miles away, you could put your address in your Snapdocs profile inside the city that's closest to you so you get those notifications. However, there is some importance in making sure that you actually can get mail to that address. So I think the hack within the hack is if you have a family or friend in there, make sure you're really solidified and like, yes, I could get mail. So if someone mailed me a check there, they'd be able to save it for me. Because keep in mind, the address you put in Snapdocs some signing service and title companies still snail mail you. So just making sure, to your point, that it's actually somewhere you can get mail. It's not going to be lost because you don't want your paychecks going to some random person. So you shouldn't be picking a random address that you don't actually have a relationship to. So I love that hack. And I love the behind the scenes, the first time you hear that they're working on aggregating something that gives notaries the more opportunity. Because I've been telling Snapdocs since day one, there's notaries who want to travel 60 miles who are amazing notaries. So it's almost to the detriment of Snapdocs, because you can get a notary who's done 1,000 closings, who's willing to travel 50 miles, and you're not giving them an opportunity, even though that title company would rather pick a notary who's done 1,000 closings. And so I'm glad you guys are listening to the feedback, and that's what a good tech company does.
Yeah, I do want to also add that if you are going to hack the hack and use a different address, the issue with that sometimes is if you are going to a more populated area, just know that you are also adding yourself to a larger pool of notaries. So yes, there could be more signings, but there will be more notaries as well. So sometimes being that all-star notary in that rural area will have a better payout.
Let me ask you this, if I can hack the hack. So I'm all about teaching my students to test. There's no one such thing as one marketing strategy that works for everybody. So my question is this: do they get penalized if they're like, okay, Mark, Casey, I hear you, so I'm gonna see if I put my name in the big city next to me, if I get more signings that I get in this rural area, because I would encourage them to test it, right? So is there a penalty they get for changing the address and kind of testing what notifications get them more signings?
Definitely not. We would not penalize somebody for trying to make their business larger.
I love it. So, I mean, kind of even taking this hack a little bit farther is, I have some students who go on vacation. Like, I'm from California. We have students in Florida. So let's say we're in Florida as we speak. Let's say, I want to go visit family down in the South in Miami, that they live in Northern Florida. So they know they're going to be down at the in-laws for a week. They can change that address to wherever they're headed to. And that's another way of getting business, even though you're traveling.
Definitely. So that is an opportunity for you. If you are going somewhere and you know that you have the time and the ability to print docs, get to a mail center to get those docs back if they're being shipped, if you can complete a successful signing, I say do it.
Especially, this is great for my dual commission students. We have tri and quad commission, which means you're commissioned in 2 states, 3 states, or 4 states. So especially like if you're in the DMV area, California, Arizona border. So a way to get money while you're on vacation, just simply switching your address while you're on vacation. Let's kind of go to the algorithms, right? Is it literally the closest people to the signing in the radius, or is it closest with a location with A, B, C, D? So break that down for us.
Great question. So it is going to be a number of factors. So it's going to be off of proximity to the signing location. There's potential that there are favorited notaries by the client, which I know we're going to dive into in a little bit. So we have favored status, we have proximity, number of signings, Snapdocs verified, your credentials, all of that do play a part. But it's also important to remember that just because number one might be the first person to get the notification, they might decline, or when they look at the whole pool of the notaries, you might stand out and get that signing.
Yeah, you said something before we unpack that, is decline. I get some students who are very wary about hitting decline just because, Mark, is it going to affect my status with Snapdocs? So can we address that real quick? Does the signing service or title company see anybody who hits decline? A, that question. B, the follow-up would be, does it negatively impact them at all by hitting decline?
Yeah, so I will correct myself, and they don't necessarily decline it. They say not available because you might have other signings or obligations or life going on. But that does not negatively impact your placement simply just because you have other obligations. They do see, the escrow officers or whoever is assigning the notary does see who is declining. So, say Sally Sue is one of their favorite notaries and they know this signing is going on in their area, they might see that Sally was not available, but that doesn't have a negative impact on, where or if Sue will, or Sally, sorry.
Could one make the conclusion that it actually hurts you by not doing anything, because that lets the algorithm, that may signal to the algorithm this profile may be dormant, not active, or as engaging. What say you?
Yeah, so we call that engagement.
Okay.
So it does always benefit you to respond to notifications. It doesn't impact your rank per se. However, you are showing other companies that you are interested in taking signings, that you are an engaged notary who is out there. And if they're constantly seeing your name in an automator, they might not have picked you last time, but they know you're out there, you're hungry, trying to do business and give you a shot.
I love it. So the conclusion in that statement is make sure you always engage, to use the Snapdocs terminology here, to let the algorithms know that you are active. Has anything really changed in the algorithms from 6 years ago that is newsworthy, or you want to point out to the community?
Yeah, so in this moment, nothing has changed, but it is a big focus for us and something I am personally working on and very close to, where we're reviewing the algorithm, how everything is, what is playing into the algorithm, because we want to make sure that we're providing a really good experience for notaries and spreading the wealth.
And I want to give Casey a lot of credit here, because Casey actually reached out to me and asked me, Mark, what is some of your feedback in regards to it? And I say that because you're open to the feedback. And I think there's a the Snapdocs is just kind of like, we do things our way. There's a sentiment in the industry on the notary side, and I want to diminish that by saying it's not even close to the truth. Thank you for letting me be involved in the conversation, even if it's at a small capacity, because I represent you and I will do everything in my best knowledge to help you get business. So thank you for that. And I think it's cool to kind of wrap up that sentiment that you're looking to make changes. So, I mean, again, Snapdocs is evolving with the notary, and what your job specifically is to support the notary. And I want you to know that Casey has your back. And she's taking time out of her day for this. She's prepped for this. And so there's a lot of care that I want to make sure that everybody sees. So thank you for this.
Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. Let's go down. So I asked about what ranks the algorithm. So let's go over that right now. So what I recall you saying is the things outside a radius is preferred. Some people may not know what that is. So let's just tap on that. What does preferred mean in the signing and Snapdocs way of looking at it for signing services?
Yeah, so preferred or favorited, whichever way you would like to look at it, that is our customers and clients' ways to indicate that they love working with a notary. This isn't us suggesting run to every escrow officer and say, hey, mark me as preferred. You haven't worked with me, but mark me with preferred or as preferred. What you should be doing is going to these companies, marketing yourself and say, give me a chance to prove myself. It's really about proving that you are that preferred notary. You should be that favorited notary. So if you have that great experience with an escrow officer and you develop that rapport, say, hey, if you want to do business with me in the future, I would love it if you had me as a preferred or favorited notary.
Okay, I love this. So what's happening out there, I mean, I'm a coach to a lot of notaries. And so the biggest thing they say, Mark, I'm going into title companies, doing your recommendation and saying, A, I want to be your notary. The feedback immediately to the notary is, we're on Snapdocs. So the notary's like, cool, I get it. What would you say the next part of the conversation should be steered to?
The next thing you should do is either leave them your business card, but say, hey, I would love it if you would pre-assign me to an order. Pre-assignment. I don't think any escrow officer wants to be told, mark me as a favorite, right? So if you say, mark or pre-assign me to an order and let me prove to you as a Snapdocs notary that I'm going to be one of your best choices.
Okay, so describe to them what pre-assign means in the Snapdocs lingo.
Yeah, so pre-assign means that the client or escrow officer, when they create the order, they can search you and add you directly to the signing. It doesn't get automated to anybody. You are the notary that is being put on the order. So preferred, you could be preferred in the automator with 20 other notaries.
Who are also preferred.
Preferred.
Interesting.
So, but you are then at the top of the automator getting those first push out notifications.
Got it. Okay, so you see my brain working over here. I'm like looking at the distance. Okay, so frankly, you would rather be pre-assigned than preferred, especially if you're marketing direct, which I teach my students to do.
So if you are going to be pre-assigned, that is saying notary is attending this signing.
Oh, that's even better.
So hopefully behind the scenes, that escrow officer and you have been in communications, building that rapport, and they already know that you're game, you're going to show up and be at that signing. If they just want to work with you and they pre-assign you to the signing, then you can always come back and comment, sorry, I'm not available. And then they might either enter a different notary or open it to the automator.
Okay, so this is cool because in full transparency, I coach them on being like mark me preferred. I tell people they don't get what they don't ask for. However, this is great because this is groundbreaking for me too, and I'm gonna start teaching this, so thank you. This softer way of saying mark me preferred is, can you pre-assign me? So there is definitely there's an aggressive format to, mark me preferred. They're like, I don't even know you, man. So if you get the feedback, when you go marketing direct, for some of you who don't know, that means going directly to title companies, lenders, realtors, et cetera, which I teach in the loan signing system. But if your first initial contact is, oh, we use Snapdocs, the real statement, should be, can you pre-assign me to your next order? That will guarantee that you're the first notary called when that order is ready to go to docs or ready to go to signing, which is actually a little bit more powerful than will you prefer me, if I really had to say this. So, high five, by the way. I'm learning this like in real time with you, and this is why I wanted to do an update video. And so your goal is to be pre-assigned to as many signings as you can. So, and what I think that also tells the title officer or escrow officers, like, wow, this notary actually knows what they're doing. So if you're like, can you pre-assign me preferred? If you're using the verbiage that signifies to them, like, okay, this notary knows what they're doing and I want to continue the conversation at the minimum. So pre-assigned, preferred, two different things. If you're calling up signing services, which our loan signing system students know exactly what to do with the scripts and the course with that, ask them to mark you preferred or pre-assigned. Let's go over what else the algorithm ranks. So we talked about proximity to location. We talked about preferred or pre-assigned. You said Snapdocs verified. So in the previous video, that was weighted heavy. In the previous interview, there was a majority of notaries were not Snapdocs verified. So what can you say around the importance of being Snapdocs verified, and then what can you mention about how the many notaries who are not that will elevate them quicker?
Yeah, so being Snapdocs verified can positively impact your ranking. So it's really important, I think, for every notary to do this simple step. You're gonna upload your commission, your background check, your E&O, a non-expired driver's license, and that is the only ID that we accept. So that is very important. But another key thing is to have your text message notifications turned on. That also plays into the rank as well.
Okay. I'm writing this down so I don't forget that. But let's go.
Sorry.
So I'm going to touch on that next. I think that is some ninja stuff right there. How many notaries on the platform are not Snapdocs verified? And I say that to encourage them that I think everybody thinks all 140,000 are Snapdocs verified, right? And so they feel like, oh, what's the big deal? I think it's a bigger deal than they may realize. So how many of the notaries percentages are not Snapdocs verified, or answer the question, how many are?
Yeah, so around 40% of our notaries are Snapdocs verified.
Okay, so the other way of looking at that is 60% are not. Mm-hmm. So to think that everyone's Snapdocs verified is not even close to the truth. It's the majority are not. So again, another way to quickly move up the Snapdocs algorithms would be to be Snapdocs verified. Is that
correct?
Perfect. So I hope you're hearing that. Didn't change from 6 years ago, but what's crazy is there's 100,000 views on that video, plus probably another 70,000 within the loan signing system course. And it's still only 40% of notaries are Snapdocs verified. So if you're watching this and you think it's not a big deal, it's an incredibly a big deal.
Well, and I do want to point out, some of our customers only work with Snapdocs verified notaries.
Get Snapdocs verified. I think it's the lowest hanging fruit on how to move up inside the algorithms.
Yeah.
If you turn text messages on, you go up in the algorithms.
Yeah, that is a part of the rank. And all of you can see this if in your profile where you see your rank, if you click on it, it will break down like what you have that plays into that rank.
Okay.
So text messaging, Snapdocs verified, a photo in your profile, having your bio, all of those things play part.
Do you need a photo to be Snapdocs verified?
You do not.
Okay, cool.
But one thing I like to compare it to is like rideshare programs, right? So, we don't necessarily pick our drivers, they are handed to us. But if we did, would you be more likely to pick the driver whose face you can see and the bio you can read, or Joe who doesn't have a picture, doesn't have a profile? I know I personally would lead to one that is more complete.
Okay, cool. So now don't need to be verified. I think, especially if you're a loan signing system nation, you understand having a good bio, headshot is important. You don't need to spend $1 trillion on it, but just have something that is nice and professional. So let's go to the bio. Does Snapdocs use any keywords in the bios to help with the algorithms, or is the bio strictly for the signing service, really the signing service or the client to make a final decision? Or is there any ninja stuff you want to share that the bios help outside of giving the title officer more ammo to pick you? Is there anything else out of that?
Yeah, so your bio isn't necessarily like the content tied to the algorithm, but I will say that I have seen, while looking at notary profiles to select them for an order, ones that are a mile long. And I think of, the acronym TLDR, right? Too long, didn't read.
I never heard that before. Yeah.
So I don't always find value in an extra lengthy bio. I think you, from the get-go, should be hitting on those key things that title companies or customers want to see. They want to know, how long have you been a notary for? Is there any signings that you specialize in? Do you speak another language? Stuff like that you think are differentiators that will set you apart from other notaries should be really quickly hit right away.
Okay, let me take kind of a right turn. I think this is an appropriate time to talk about the negative reviews. Okay. So for your newer signing agents out there, you can leave a positive review, but the signing service then can also write a negative review. This notary was rude, this notary was late. And by the way, I do believe as a trainer that is appropriate to have a negative review system for notaries. That's how you hold us accountable of doing our job. However, I'll be very honest with you, and I will always back the community, is I don't think it's fair that they don't have a way to dispute it. Because even on Yelp, if you have a bad review, this Yelp can go on and be like, whoa, that's not true. So how is Snapdocs dealing with, and I say dealing with that concern from the notary? Let's have a conversation around that.
Yeah, so there currently is not a way for notaries to dispute feedback, because there would probably be an overwhelming amount of, even on some of like the neutral feedback, like, back and forth on how things went, right? But we are currently looking at the feedback questions, which will help us be able to take feedback and give you guys quantitative data on, were you late? Was there a behavior issue? Was there a document issue, print quality, whatnot? But I will say that if there is an escalation that actually lands in my hands, I do call the notary to hear their side of the story, because it is important to know there's two sides to every story, and an upset customer or an upset notary, to hear both of their sides, take away the important details and not maybe just like a hasty email. Okay,
so groundbreaking, I think, right here. Because I get this literally hundreds, if not thousands times in the past 8 years that I've been coaching signing agents is, Mark, what's my recourse if a signing service gave me bad information? And I always said there was none. They don't have that recourse, and I actually think that's unfair. However, what I'm hearing now is that if you can escalate it to you, is there an email specifically that they could use, that we can share right now, that's saying, if you don't feel like something, you want to tell your side of the story, this is kind of the chain of command here?
Yeah, so without opening the floodgates to our support team with notaries, wanting to tell their side of the story, if an escalation comes to me via the client, I will always reach out to the notary to hear their side of the story. But one thing that a notary could do is, after a signing, in the most professional way possible, which is very important, leave a comment on the order with your side, so that it's documented, and then if necessary, that will come to me and I can reach out. If you receive a thumbs down or a negative review, the impact is not going to be detrimental to your business.
Is there a way to get information upstream to someone in the Snapdocs?
Yeah, they can email into our support team and that will be escalated directly to me.
This is a good clarifying question. Does every signing service title company get to see every positive and bad review left on that notary?
They do not see all of them because some of the clients keep them for personal use within their own profiles, like a client profile.
You know, I'll kind of wrap up with this. I think the negative review system works. And so I do believe that 100% it be needed on all platforms, not just Snapdocs. On the way out of this part of the conversation, is there anything that we can talk about that we missed on to helping their algorithms and up ranking?
When it comes down to helping your ranking, I think that when you are out there marketing yourself, just make sure that you're asking for a chance. Make sure that you have your profile fully filled out. You have all your credentials. You can note, hey, I'm Snapdocs verified. Make sure that you're providing that top tier white glove experience for every single customer and getting those thumbs up and positive reviews.
And I'm gonna keep working on Snapdocs to put a little upload on that LSS certification. I'm working for you, man, every day. Okay, so again, stay the course, new notaries. Everything I teach you, she actually cemented. Don't be afraid to call the signing service up. If you're a loan signing system student, you have over 300 signing services, phone numbers, email address. Call them up. Don't be afraid to ask for it. Mark yourself pre-assigned or ask to be marked preferred. You know the difference now. But remember, building your own business, the best way to get inside the algorithm's favor is by signing orders completed. Is there anything here as far as encouragement, letting them know that there's business out there for you? Here's how. Why don't you speak to the camera while I'm kind of looking at the notes here?
One thing that I would really encourage notaries is, as we've talked about, one, making sure your Snapdocs verified. I am sure all of you have all of the things to be Snapdocs verified. So that's really important. Also, setting up your vendor pay.
Sorry. Let's talk vendor pay. Okay, so my community is used to these outbursts, so I apologize. You're like, what just happened? So does vendor pay increase? Is it factored into the algorithm as far as getting more high rank?
It is not factored into the algorithm in terms of ranking, but we do have clients that utilize vendor pay, and the only way to pay those notaries is if they are set up on vendor pay.
Okay, so they would be searching for notaries who are vendor paid. So when they're doing their search filters, they're only searching vendor pay because that's how they got to pay them. I hope you heard that, everybody. So if you don't have vendor paid set it up. The reason I think this is so epic is because most title companies use vendor pay. So if you're looking for the direct business through Snapdocs, sending up vendor pay is really important because most title companies aren't sending out 400 checks to all the notaries. Signing services do. So if you're like, well, how come I'm not getting notifications from title companies that are using Snapdocs? One of the reasons could be you don't have vendor pay set up. Is that a correct statement?
Correct. So
So good.
and it's really great because, it's direct deposit. You get your funds right into your bank account. But having vendor pay set up is a big win.
Because, this conversation is so good. Thank you. And this was so overdue. Updating that last conversation because there's no vendor pay 6 years ago. And you guys weren't as heavily focused on title company transactions. Most title companies are not sending out checks and they're filtering for notaries who have vendor pay because they only can work with notaries who can accept the pay check or payment, And so they're literally searching on a filter of vendor pay notaries. So it's, it is notaries closest to the algorithms, notaries with the best feedback, notaries signing orders completed, and vendor pay. So if you're not checking off the vendor pay box, that's why you're not getting signings from First American or whatever companies they're using the Snapdocs platform. This has been so good. Make sure you rewatch this video. The full version of this will be in the loan signing system course. So make sure if you're not a loan signing system student, click the link below to get more information. Casey, thank you for the time. Thank you for, what I feel from you is you care about the community as much as I do. And that's a beautiful thing because I don't think the communities as a large think the platforms actually care. It's like they feel like, how much can Snapdocs make money? You know, how much can this platform make money? And I really feel you're the opposite. I feel like you want the feedback, you take it. You know, the idea that you shared, if you get negative feedback, email support, it will come to me, and you know this is gonna be sent to thousands and thousands of notaries, but I think that says something about you. Snapdocs as a platform that, you know, they care. And so that's the reason I wanted you in front of the camera, so they can see what I see with the cameras off.
Well, thank you so much to all of you, our notary community and loan signing system, for having me. It's been wonderful to share all these tidbits about Snapdocs with you, and just we're continuing to improve your experience with us.
And that's a wrap. Of course, if you like this video, hit like. If you have any questions at all, make sure you comment down below. Follow this page for more amazing information. And of course, if you want more information on how to be a loan signing agent so you can work for amazing platforms like Snapdocs, make sure you click the link down below.